Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. I hope you are all doing well. Now if you've been following my channel over the recent weeks, you will know that things have been a bit bumpy for me with regards to FBA sales. However, things are starting to pick up a little bit and I'll show you that in a graph next to me. But what I want to do in this video is share with you what my plans are going forward. You know, over the last few weeks you've seen my sales plummet through the floor. I've got loads of stock stuck at the Amazon warehouses costing me quite a bit of money. So what are my plans going forward? You know, what are my plans with existing inventory? What are my plans with this new inventory that I've got arriving? And then what am I going to do with future products? And what is my Amazon FBA strategy going to be going forward based on the lessons that I've learned over the past couple of months? So the first thing that I want to get into, and that is my existing inventory. Now at the moment I am very inventory heavy. I've got lots of stock at the fulfillment centers and I've got new stock on the way. Unfortunately, I stocked up just before lockdown started and had reordered new stock with the plan for it to be delivered once that had sold through. Unfortunately, the stock that I had delivered before lockdown, none of that has really sold, so I've got all of that in stock plus new stock arriving shortly. So what is my plan for this existing inventory? Well, if you look back to my videos from a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that I was going to price dump my products to break even. Well, that has been fairly successful, as you hopefully will have seen on the graph that I popped up. And since the 1st of May, my sales have picked up. So my plan at the moment, and probably for the next 4 to 6 weeks, is to continue selling my products at that break-even price point. So I want to try and sell through as much of that existing stock as quickly as possible to, 1, to free up some cash flow, 2, to hopefully reverse the decrease to my IPO, and thirdly, to make way for the new stock that I've got arriving. So that's my plan, continue selling at break-even for the next 4 to 6 weeks to try and sell through as much existing stock as possible. Now during those 4 to 6 weeks, I have one shipment that is definitely going to be delivered to the Amazon warehouses and another one that is going to be delivered shortly after that 4 to 6 week window. So I have a lot of stock on the way, so it's important that I clear out some of that existing inventory. Now when that new stock arrives, my plan is this: if the existing inventory has sold through, when the new stock arrives, I'm going to start increasing my price slowly back towards where it was before I dump the price to break even. Now my thinking behind this is I need to find out what the new price point is, because due to the social and economic impact of what has happened, there may be a new normal for these products. So we don't know what the demand is going to be going forward, and we don't know what the new price point is going to be going forward, because there are other competitors that have also dumped their prices as well. So the plan is, with the new inventory that is arriving, is to find out if the products that I'm currently selling are still viable going forward. And the best way of doing that is to slowly increase the price back towards the price that it was before this all began. And then I can see what the demand is like at that price point. And then if things are still showing promising signs, then potentially at that point, I will then order more stock for those products. If, however, things are showing signs of not getting back to that levels, then it might be the case that I close all of those products and look to launch new products going forward. Now, as frustrating as the past couple of months have been, they've also taught me a very important lesson, and also highlighted one of the weaknesses within my FBA business, and that is I have far too much cash flow tied up in products that are sea shipped. To give you an example of how this works, if I order one of these products with my manufacturer, they usually can manufacture that product within approximately 3 weeks. And then once that order is completed, the freight forwarder will collect it, and there's then usually at least another week delay between that collection and the boat actually leaving China. So that's 4 weeks in already. The product then spends at least 4 weeks on the boat until it gets to a UK port. There's then usually at least another week for the product to clear customs and for the container to be unpacked. And after that, the freight forwarder has to book the delivery in with the Amazon fulfillment center, and that can take another week or 2 as well. So in total, the minimum lead time is usually at least 10 weeks. And that's just 10 weeks from ordering the product to getting it to the Amazon fulfillment centers. Now, once it arrives at the fulfillment centers, I usually order between 2 to 3 months of stock per order. So sometimes it then takes another 1 to 2 months before I start to get back to that break-even point, and then potentially 4 to 5 months in total before I start seeing any profit off of that investment. So at the moment, I quite often have at least £10,000 or £15,000 in cash flow tied up per order that I don't see any return on for 4 to 5 months. So that is a huge risk, and it just highlights a massive flaw in my current strategy, especially as the market can change so much in that time. Unfortunately, this time around, one of the big changes was the pandemic. However, it could be simpler things, such as your listing getting suspended, or maybe you started getting negative reviews, or perhaps your niche started getting super saturated and there was a lot more competitors, so your sales dropped off. But all the time that you're investing based on a 4 to 5 month return window, it is super high risk. So that's something I need to adjust in my business strategy going forward with my Amazon FBA business. So based on those experiences, there are 2 things that I want to share with you guys. The first one are my plans for future FBA products, and then the second thing is my associated strategy for actually selling on Amazon FBA going forward. So my plans for selling future products are actually quite simple. What I want to do is convert away from larger sea ship products to small and light products that I can air freight in. That way my cash flow will be tied up for a shorter period of time and the overall risk will be much smaller. Now the trade-off for going for these smaller and lighter products is that many of those niches are oversaturated, and I'll come back to that in a moment when I get to my actual Amazon strategy with those products. But by switching to these small and light products, it should free up a lot more cash flow, and if anything ever goes wrong with any of those products, I should have a lot less money invested in that product, and I can also order it on a more frequent basis. If you can fly products in with maybe a lead time of 4 weeks, a couple of weeks in manufacturing and a couple of weeks on a plane, that is a much better position to be in than spending 4 to 5 months before you can see any return on that product. I'm also going to start looking at some of the products that I have traditionally shied away from, so perhaps electronics. Some of these products are very small and light. However, I've always avoided them as I didn't want to go through the additional paperwork needed to actually be able to sell these products. So going forward, I'm going to look into some of these trickier products in small and light niches. So I've got products that have a very short lead time, but maybe are slightly more complicated to sell. Now, as I just mentioned, by going for these small and light products, I'm probably going to be finding niches that are very, very oversaturated. So how am I going to adjust my Amazon business strategy to cope with that? Well, what I'm thinking about is that at the moment, I don't take any risk with my Amazon FBA business because my products take so long to get here and then so long to sell. However, based on what's happened, I have been diversifying my income more. So I do have multiple income streams. So what that means going forward is that I may get involved in some of the slightly riskier strategies, which I have seen many of my competitors using over the last 18 months to get ahead and that I've always shied away from. If I've got a lot less money tied up in the business, I've got diversified income stream, and I'm entering these small and light niches with a very, very short turnaround, I'll probably feel a bit more confident about taking a bit more risk with my account, knowing full well that I don't have as much cash flow tied up in the business. So if anything did go really, really wrong, I wouldn't lose that much money. So just to recap what I've discussed in this video, the first thing that I want to do for the next 4 to 6 weeks is to continue selling my existing inventory through at break-even price. The plan with that is to clear through the stock as much as possible to make way for the new inventory that's arriving, and also hopefully to repair my IPI a little bit, because at the moment it's below that 400 threshold, so I have inventory restrictions on the next quarter. So that's the plan for the current inventory, and then once that new inventory arrives, I will start to increase my prices very gradually to see whether the demand is still there at the higher price point than it was before lockdown began. And if that is the case, then I may continue selling those products. If not, then I will retire those products and focus on moving forward. And then going forward, because I don't want lots of my cash flow tied up in sea shipments, I'm going to be looking into small and light products I can air freight in, and then hopefully sell those in a much shorter turnaround time than I currently do. And then those products themselves, they are possibly going to be in more competitive niches, and if they are, I may look into some slightly riskier strategies because I've got a lot less money invested in Amazon FBA. So if things do go really wrong, I won't be in such a bad position as I am at the moment. So I'd love to hear from you guys, any of you that have been affected by what's happened recently. What are your plans going forward? What are you going to do with your Amazon FBA business? What are your plans for new products? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video useful, make sure you scroll down and hit that like button. That'd be really, really appreciated. And if you're not a member of FBA Elite, make sure you head over to fbaelite.com, where you can discuss Amazon FBA with a huge community that we've got going on over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video.